Alright, it's almost 3 a.m. I'm barely awake right now. Well, I'm gonna go through day 7 real quick. So we're gonna go over functions. Today was all functions. The first thing we did was let's see. Let me move this in here real quick. Alright, I'll do that later. What the Yo, I messed up. I messed up. Quit. Let me just quit. Hopefully that works. Yo, how do I exit these? Bro, I'm tripping. Alright, let me try that again. Open. Day 7, return. Return multiple functions. No, that's not right. Maybe it was this. Tuples and then one more. Oh yeah, this is where we started. Oh, I might have saved 2 files on top of another. Okay, well, anyways, we're using functions to reuse code. So in this case, the function syntax is func, F-U-N-C. This one would be show welcome. When we run this function over here, it's going to print all of these, like welcome to my app, when will we FaceTime, chart from centimeter to inches. So anything I put in print will print in show welcome. Then we used numbers over here to check if a number is multiple of 2. Oh, this was just an example of anything. This isn't necessarily a function. But this function over here is a times table. So pretty much if we make a function early in the code, we could always call back to it like this. That'll make it 100 times easier. So we're trying to find a times table, number 5 and n20. And that way we don't have to keep rewriting a times table whenever you want to do it. You could just pull up the function, input the numbers you want to use. Right here was a test I did, just print hello, that worked. And then we did it with arrays, where you make an empty array of string. And then when you call the function, you could put the cities you want in there. So this was cities example. This is an array of cities, and then it's going to name a city. This is array of cities, and it's going to call all the cities I mentioned in here. So I could add everything I want to the array from here and print the result. So that's the first thing we did. Another thing we did was return values. So we did a alright, to be honest, I didn't learn too much this time. I was just copying the code. I was way too tired. I'm gonna have to review this. I'm at the point now where I have to start some type of project to be able to actually absorb the knowledge, because I just need to do tests. Like, for example, he gave us a little checkpoint type of thing where the challenge was to use a function to figure out if 2 words share the same letters. And he left it up to us to figure out if we could do it or not. And I was able to do it right here on my own. It took longer than him, It took longer than him to figure it out in terms of how much code I used. But the function compare, and then I make two strings within the function, word1 and word2. I turn those into variable where I sort them in alphabetical. So variable 1 will represent word 1 in sorted fashion. Then 2 would be sorted fashion word 2. Then I make an if else where I say if 1 is equal to 2, equal to 2, print they match. Else they don't match. And then print 1 and 2. And then after this function is closed, I do compare word 1 hello, word 2 hello. And it should say it matches. They match, and it's going to print me the letters. He did it in this way, which requires less code. He used this, I forget what this term is called, but this arrow function. And when you use this arrow, you could use a return within the function. That way you don't really have to call upon it later. So if I do this, actually you do have to call upon it, I think. Yeah, it calls upon true. So it's going to return whatever bool. So you can say true or false, pretty much saying if they match or not. And in this case, they match. Then we did the function for Pythagorean theorem. And then, yeah. That was the most important thing I learned. I could definitely... Yeah, when I have some type of challenge or assignment to do, I learn much better. And then... What else we do? Return multiple. Yeah, so this was showing different ways we could use the syntax of a function. So in this case, get user, and then it's gonna have two strings, first name, last name. And then we say what the first name is, M, and then S. And then make another variable outside of the function where it gets user, and then we can call that new variable within here saying get first name, or name, and then user first name, which would be this. And then user last name should be this, and then it'll print MS, the first and last name. True, MS. The true is from up here. And then another way we could write it is this right here. This is something new that he taught us. Where if we make a variable, instead of making a whole separate variable calling user and then identifying it in there, we just make one variable with two, well, we make, I don't know what the term is called, but we put two variables within one let, and then get user 3. That way we only have to name first name. So this would be just M, so I'm only calling first name, and then I'll just do last name. If I want first name, last name, MS. This is nice because when we do the print, it's much cleaner than that. So yeah, that's how that comes in handy. And the last thing was customizing parameters. The main point was that by customizing parameters, it'd make it look much nicer. So roll dice, and then the parameter size and count is pretty self-explanatory. You do rolls, which is the function. Well, you do, this is a variable, and then you call the function roll dice, and then you decide how many sides and how many times. The count would be like how many times you want to roll it. So that's the importance of customizing parameters. It just makes it easier to read. It's important too because that way we could have multiple functions with the same name, but the parameter is what differentiates it, and apparently Swift is one of the only languages that could do that. What else? And then he taught this, and then we went over this. We could add a for. I wonder if I could rename this. Hello. think it has to be 4. Oh, I guess not. We do test. Okay, nice. So this is he referred to it as an external and an internal parameter. And the internal needs to be used. If I can't put tests within the parameter, within the function itself. So that's what the external is for, so I can call upon it out here. Because if I were to put number out here, it wouldn't work either. Yeah. So I have to put test in there. So that way we could use one parameter essentially, both internally and externally. But we just have to have 2 different names for it. But yeah, that pretty much summarizes it. I'm dead tired. I'm going to try to start my own little project tomorrow. That way it'll help me learn it a little better. Because I'm not gonna be able to learn it unless I'm forced to figure it out and think about it. But yeah, stay 7.